Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. Thank you for your support. There is a Donna box for contributions in the kitchen and also a link for contributions on the website.
Welcome, everyone. And thank you so much for being here today. It's really a joy to be with you. I can't see all of you, but I feel your presence. And thanks to those who are not here today, but might be watching and listening to the recording at a later date. First, I want to express my gratitude to my root teacher, Flint, and all the teachers here at Appamada, and all of you, my spiritual friends, for being with me on this journey. So that brings me to today's topic, the generosity of friendship, or Dana Paramita. And we hear about Dana all the time here at Appamada because the Dana box is in the kitchen. So generosity and friendship. Generosity, one of the 6 perfections or qualities of an enlightened character that a bodhisattva cultivates for the benefit of all being. As Ellen explained in her Dharma talk, excellent Dharma talk a few weeks ago, they're generally studied in the following order, just as some of us are doing currently in the Mahasangha course. And they are generosity, number 1, ethical conduct, patience, energy or wholehearted effort, stillness or meditation, and wisdom. Yet, as Reb Anderson says in Entering the Mind of Buddha, in the reality, quote, in the reality of the Buddha's awakening, these 6 practices occur simultaneously, and each includes all the others. And as we today study these paramitas in order, he continues, quote, each of the paramitas is supported by those that precede it, and each supports what succeeds it. And in turn, each one deepens and transforms all of the practices that it is built on. So a note of the importance of friendship and our Zen practice. So when Ananda, revered disciple of the Buddha, said to him, "Dear respected teacher, it seems to me that half of the spiritual life is good friendship, good companionship, good comradeship." And the Buddha quickly corrected him, not so, Ananda. This is the entire spiritual life. So I've chosen this topic because of recent experiences in my life that demonstrated so clearly the continuous, interactive, interdependent nature of life, specifically in relation to the generosity of friendship. And I'd like to share them. And a special thanks to Kim, who, when I related some of these experiences, said to me, that sounds like a Dharma talk. So I don't know about you, but when these synchronous occurrences just happen in everyday daily life, in relation to something we've been studying or working with in our practice, it just seems kind of magical to me. But I thought it might be fun and interesting to reverse the usual order of the talk and start with a Dharma activity. So I'm offering an image as a prompt for your individual reflection. Then we'll move on to my experience and some other ideas on Dana Paramita. So, and I think we'll move into breakout rooms as well after we reflect. We're going to, each of us separately, reflect on this image for 3 minutes. And we're going to do a little preparatory relaxing and closing our eyes first. And then 3 minutes of, on your own again, writing or movement or drawing, whatever way you would like to express what the image evoked in you. So I will share this in just a moment. And I'll ring a bell after the first 3 minutes, which will be the end of your reflection, and ring a bell at the end of the whatever way you want to express yourself is. So I'm going to put the image up, and then we'll do a little bit of preparation on, just wait a second, I'll get this. How is that for folks? Okay, see it? Good, thank you. Okay, so just to prepare ourselves, since we're moving into the heart space of generosity. Let's close, everybody just close your eyes for a second, 2 seconds, and just settle yourself, moving your attention and your awareness down from your head space through your neck and your upper body into your heart space. Just with a nice easy breath, just settle yourself into the earth and allow that heart space to open, to invite in this image. Okay, now let's just slowly open our eyes. And we're going to set the timer for 3 minutes as we reflect and look. Okay, so let's begin our 3 minutes of writing, movement, drawing, and any way that you would like to express what this image evoked in you as you looked at it. Okay, just a few seconds more to just kind of wrap up what you're writing or expressing. And we're going to be in the rooms for, okay, for 12 minutes. Okay, and this is how it's going to go. So 3 minutes for each person to share what their reflections were. So one person shares and the other person responds just to that share for 2 minutes or less if there's not more. So, and then there'll be 2 minutes at the end of that, reversing that, for sharing all together. So one person reflects for 3 minutes, the other person responds to that reflection for 2. This is all up to you, actually, but this is what I've calculated. And then it reverses to the other person sharing, and then the other person reflecting on that share. And then there should be 2 minutes left over, or a little bit left over, to share what it was like to be with your partner in that room. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to talk about what your reflections were at the end. So I'm going to share with you now some of the experiences that I shared with Kim that inspired me to write about generosity and friendship. So this is what happened in my life recently. So the week before, I went to Cape Cod for vacation, and this was just 2 weeks ago, and to take a course on treating trauma for my continuing education credits for my clinical social work license. I attended the first meeting of the Mahasangha study group, Weaving the Paramitas. And the first paramita of study, generosity, was so deeply embodied by the brief presentations of each of the teachers. There will be several of them teaching us over an 8-month period. You could just see and feel the enormous time and energy that it must have taken to develop the course. It was just so clear and set the tone for the beginning of this journey. And I felt a lot of gratitude for this gift, and I'm sure those of you are here today who are in the course felt it too. So a few days before leaving Cape Cod, I received the names of 3 other Mahasangha participants that would make up my Paramita pod, or study group, for the 8 months, one of whom just happened to live on Cape Cod. Now, in this first session, we were encouraged to be on the lookout for an art form that feels connected to or conveys or inspires generosity. And my new pod mate, who lives on Cape Cod, her name is Gwen, immediately emailed the 3 of us a photo of a semicircle of about 8 beach chairs with towels and beach things on them, but with no people. So this semicircle of chairs on the beach. In her email, she said to us, "Hello, wanted to share an image from a nearby beach at low tide where we sometimes gather. It evokes a sense of generosity as I consider our pod and possibilities for connection." So from this first outreach in our pod, the rest of us began to share images, including the one that I offered you today. So I reached out to Gwen, letting her know that I would be in her area the following week and wondered if we could meet up. And we were actually able to arrange a date and time and had a lovely visit on the beach where we spent an hour and a half talking. And it was just lovely and heartwarming and a special treat to be able to be in person with one of my Sangha mates. And although we haven't met yet as a group, our image sharing and reflections have made it already feel like a devotional shared practice, like our sewing groups. So the spirit of generosity is flowing. The next experience that flowed, I think, from this focus on generosity was the other end of the trip, the day that I was before I was about to come home from the Cape. I'm leasing a new electric vehicle, and this was my first long trip. And let's just say that charging the car is a challenge. So I was at the charging station trying to get the charge going and placed my key fob, this, for those of you, this, on the hood of the car. I never got the charge going and decided to leave and try again the next day. Long story short, I drove away a short distance to a restaurant, parked, turned the car off, and attempted to turn it back on again to straighten the car out. It would not turn on because it could not locate the fob. Okay, I'm stuck. I had a few options, one of which was to call my friend Patricia, who lives on Cape Cod, and ask her if she would please come and get me, and B, help me to retrace the short distance I drove to the restaurant. She was amazing. She came, we drove a few times slowly back and forth between the two locations, nothing. I would have to have the car towed to a Toyota dealership to have a new fob made. Not only that, but I still had one more day of class, which I had to be present for, or I wouldn't get my credits. Patricia drove me back to her place, and we planned what would happen next. First, she offered to drive me to my class, pick me up, and drive me to the dealership to see if they would make the fob. Well, that was July 4th, and the sales department was very willing to sell you a new car, but the service department was not open. So no, I would have to wait until the next day. Then Patricia says, well, you know, I have this gut feeling. I just want to try something else. Let's just go drive to the car and let me try something. So we go back to the car and we begin looking around again. But there was a difference. It was a sunny afternoon versus like 1 o'clock versus 7 in the evening the night before. It was much brighter. And I want to emphasize that before Patricia's suggestion, I was resigned to wait and go to Toyota the next day. I was and still am impressed with her patience and trusting her gut feeling. So I began looking closely at the hood of the car and the windshield. So between the hood and the windshield, I'm just going to do this because it's like this, there is a crevice here. The fob is attached to this metal ring. With the sun shining on the metal ring, it glowed from that crevice. I lifted it up, showed it to Patricia, and we were both just amazed. You can imagine my relief, but on a deeper level, I was so grateful for Patricia's generosity and patience in what is it about sharing these things that really brings up feelings? Where are they? No, that's okay. For Patricia's generosity and patience in being right there with me. Physically, mentally, in every way. There was not an iota of annoyance, anxiety, or impatience. There was also no sense of self-importance that can sometimes be present when we give. The other experience with Patricia that I had on this trip was earlier in the week. We met for dinner, and towards the end of dinner, which sometimes I find that that's when you really get talking at a deeper level, I began to tell her all about this trauma treatment course that I was taking, which I was pretty enthused about. And she's always very interested. She's a retired businesswoman, but I've been getting my CE credits annually on Cape Cod for many, many years, and I often stay with her. So she's been hearing about whatever I'm learning about for years, and she's always interested. And then she began sharing a difficult situation with a troubled friend. And I was encouraging her to continue to try to reach out, which has been difficult. Just keep trying, I said. In the parking lot, as we were leaving each other, she gave me a big hug. And said, thank you. You always help me. And I had really no idea that I'd been helpful. So we often don't know the impact that we're having. But who is this we, this I that I speak of? In fact, who's speaking now? Dale Wright states, quote, "The Buddha, instructing his disciple Subhuti in the perfection of generosity, says to him, 'Do not imagine that the gift is one thing, its fruit another, the donor another, and the recipient another.'" Wright explains, "All these seemingly separate things are only in connection to other things that make them what they are. Because my generosity is made possible by this enormous background of interdependent factors. It's really not my generosity." Add to this the life factor of constant movement and change. These factors of interdependence and emptiness of a fixed self, of anything fixed, and cultivations of these realities can begin to free us from the delusion of a separate gift, giver, and receiver. So I'd like to end the talk, and then we can do some sharing from your breakout rooms with this poem. It's by Love, and I'm going to butcher how you say this name. Genevieve, you can help me with it later. But I'll do my best, by Czeslaw Milosz. Love means to look at yourself the way one looks at distant things, for you're only one thing among many. And whoever sees that way heals his heart without knowing it from various ills. A bird and a tree say to him, "Friend." Then he wants to use himself and things so that they stand in the glow of ripeness. It doesn't matter whether he knows what he serves. Who serves best doesn't always understand. Thank you. Would anyone like to share, first of all, from your looking at the image and your connections in the breakout rooms with your groups there and your folks in the Zendo there? Kim.
It was an interesting experience to respond to our different readings of the painting, and you know, were we wondering, you know, did I not see it that way? Was I wrong? Was I right? And also just the processing as the people interpreted the painting as, no, that's not right. No, I saw it. So that was just an interesting experience. Rather than each of us just talking about what we saw, having to respond was a little bit different experience.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, to respond to, yeah.
Not to correct, but just to respond to
being with them and with their, what it felt like to be with them and their interpretation.
different paintings.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Rosemarie, it's Kathy.
Yes. Kathy.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. And the poem, beautiful. My response isn't based on the picture, more my life. And for the last 6 months, 7 months, I've been slowly reading Krista Tippett's book on becoming wise. And as and then recently that tree fell in in front of my car, a very big tree, and it didn't touch my car or me. And I watched that happen just like I was sitting on my cushion. Oh, a tree is going by. Oh, I better call 911. after I get out of the way. And it's just this connection that I'm looking at, and it's a nuance of relationship with other people and with the tree. And I'm paying attention, closer attention to what's right before me in my life. So this is another aspect of it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your reflection, Kathy. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi. You did that with so much grace
Oh, thank you.
and gentleness and space. I really loved this journey. I don't remember where I've seen this painting, but I've loved it for a long time. I noticed that in our I was in a group of 3, and we all in different ways saw what might appear to be contradictory or opposite things being held together in a oneness. And we all noticed that we all experienced the women as being at ease with each other, at ease in each other's presence. And 2 of us saw the water in different ways as a metaphor for connection and for welcoming all aspects from laughter to shadows without holding one above the other. And that there was pain, and yet the pain was bearable together. And on reflection of this and what has followed, I realize that what I'm struggling with right now is that there are certain people with whom I feel like I always make all the mistakes. I never do anything right. And then, so I've been really struggling with that. But then I just realized today, like, that there are other people with whom I always feel like my mistakes are okay. And that they're part of a larger oneness that is rooted in love and in genuine desire for connection that's safe. And I wanted to mention that for me, perhaps the greatest generosity anyone could ever give me is the willingness for repair and forgiveness.
Thank you so much. And thank you for mentioning the water. I think it's an amazing thing. And I was thinking about it with the paramitas, how the one that comes forward, then it flows back into the ones that before and after, and reminds me of the Hudson River, which flows both ways, and it just keeps going. And I wanted to mention that in my pod, Serenity mentioned that the well was the Sangha, and I love that. This is where they gather in that group. So I wanted to mention that. So thank you, Genevieve. And I think our time is up. Does anyone else want to have lightning round of last minute reflection? It was so lovely to be here with you today and share these thoughts and feelings. And I really appreciate the space to do that and be with you. So,
Rosemarie,
yes.
audio on, it's Bridget.
Hey, Bridget.
Here in the Sangha, both Kim and Jess saw that as a tombstone rather than a spigot with water. Was that true of other people online? I'm curious.
I did not.
Okay, who's for the well?
I saw it as a cistern because I'm familiar. My grandmother used to have a cistern in her backyard.
Uh-huh.
So whether it was stone or metal, it's a traditional ancient device.
Who's speaking? I can't see that.
Oh, it's Lisa. Yeah, you can take me off of Spotlight.
Got it. Okay. Well, all right. Well, I
It's
didn't know what it
Lisa,
was.
Lisa Combs. Lisa.
I just saw it as a spigot, so anyway, as soon as they both said it was a headstone, I went into complete doubt. But oh my gosh, this is a reflection of the way the world is. People think one way and they see it exactly the way they see it, and then I see it something differently.
Misperceptions or just different perceptions. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you.